Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and the lawsuit that's going on right now. I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably going to be a longer video, and God knows it's extremely messy. Blake Lively accuses It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment. His lawyer slams shameful complaint full of false accusations. Blake Lively has accused her It Ends With Us director and co-star Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment. In a bombshell complaint, the actress alleges that Baldoni attempted to mount a smear campaign against her and claims his behavior caused her and her family severe emotional harm, according to a copy obtained by Variety. Brian Friedman, a lawyer for Baldoni and his production company, Wayfarer Studios, fired back at Lively's complaint in a statement. He called it shameful and full of categorically false accusations. According to the complaint lodged with the California Civil Rights Department, a meeting was held in January of 2024 to address Lively's claims and her demands for returning to work on It Ends With Us, after the actors' and writers' strikes had ended, allowing production to resume. Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, was reportedly in attendance at the meeting. At the meeting, Lively complained that Baldoni had discussed Lively's weight with her trainer, pressed her to disclose her religious beliefs, and talked about his sex life in inappropriate ways. Lively also complained that Jamie Heath, one of the producers of the film and CEO of Wayfarer Studios, showed Lively a video of his wife naked and giving birth. Lively also alleged that Baldoni and Heath entered her makeup trailer without getting her permission first, including when she was breastfeeding her infant child. It goes on to state that the concerns Lively raised were not only for herself, but for the other female cast and crew, some of whom had also spoken up. So this is a mess. These allegations are also kind of insane, because I don't know who goes up to someone, especially in the workplace. Let's all remember this is the workplace. You're not just friends being weird. No, this is professionalism 101, and also just being a decent human 101. Why would you go up to someone and be like, hey, want to see this naked video of my wife giving birth? Like, first of all, who really wants to see that? Which is the least of our problems. But second of all, it's like you're really putting people in a very strange and uncomfortable position. Not to mention, you're crossing boundaries. Like, I think nudity generally, aside from actors and their work and what they do as actors, nudity generally is such a touchy thing. So to go up to someone and offer to show them a video of your naked wife, how do you not think that's inappropriate? How do you not think that's crossing every single boundary you could imagine, let alone professional boundaries, but just generally? Like, why would you bring that up? And I don't even know, I even wonder if his wife was okay with that, because I don't know how many people would just be like, yeah, show my birth video to whoever. Also, I have to say, one of my first thoughts here was, if Lively is being treated this way, and she's the most high-profile one there, in terms of the women actresses as far as I know, how is everyone else being treated in terms of, how are the people who don't have as much pull, how are they being treated? People who aren't celebrities, people who don't have husbands that are celebrities, who can speak up for them, people who are basically just the average Joe who happen to be working on a set, how are they being treated? Because to me, what is also alarming is you're picking the most high-profile person there, and you're choosing to be inappropriate with them, thinking, what, you're gonna get away with it? So my thought is, if you're so sure you're gonna get away with it with Lively, what are you doing with people where you're really more guaranteed to actually get away with it? People who are afraid to lose their jobs because they really need them as opposed to millionaires. People who are potentially afraid to even say anything for the repercussions, let alone their job loss, but even potentially going forward that they don't get any more jobs because you smear them after. So I'm really wondering what the other women also went through, because, I don't know, I just have a feeling there's worse. And that's not to minimize anything that Lively went through, that's just something that I'm wondering. Lively allegedly demanded Baldoni not add any more sex scenes outside of what was in the script of the movie that she had approved before filming began. The film's distributor, Sony Pictures, reportedly approved Lively's requests, according to the complaint, but it goes on to accuse Baldoni of social manipulation and launching a campaign to destroy Lively's reputation afterwards. In the filing, Lively claims that Baldoni and Heath engaged in unprofessional behavior, including describing their past sexual relationships to her and speaking to her about their previous pornography addiction. Lively also alleges that Baldoni claimed he could communicate with the dead, including her father, Ernie Lively, who died in 2021. It was off-putting and violative for Baldoni to claim a personal relationship with her recently deceased father, the complaint reads. There's so much here to unpack. There are people that might make excuses for Baldoni and Heath just being like overly friendly and just treating Lively like one of the boys, which is an argument I've seen online, mind you. They're just like, oh, they're just really open about their lives, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, that's a them problem. When you're at work, I don't think you go to a random coworker and just randomly start telling them about your sex life, right? Unless you're friends, and then you do that outside of work. But in this case, I don't think they were that close. So anyone who's claiming that, I think is a cop-out. Also because in this day and age, we know how messy things get. We know how quickly things are misinterpreted. We know how quickly things are spread on social media, which is generally a good thing unless, oh no, we have misinformation or misinterpretation or miscommunication or any of the other words. So it's surreal to me that they would even take the risk of making her uncomfortable, knowing full well there are the repercussions like this. Aside from the fact that you kind of want to be a good person too, but I guess that's a detail these days. Also, the fact that Baldoni claimed he could speak to the dead and communicate with Blake Lively's father is so fucked up on so many levels. I have a personal gripe with that one because I've had people reach out to me saying similar shit. With all due respect, I do not give a singular fuck if you can speak to the dead, which you probably can't, but to come to me and say that you're in contact with someone close to me that passed away, absolutely the fuck not. I'm just gonna move on before I get into like a seething rage. So anyway, a spokesperson for Lively referred Variety to a statement the actress gave to the New York Times in which she said, "I hope that my legal action helps pull back the curtain on these sinister retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up against misconduct and helps protect others who may be targeted." Baldoni's legal team pushed back on Lively's claims. "It is shameful that Miss Lively and her representatives would make such serious and categorically false accusations against Mr. Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, and its representatives as yet another desperate attempt to fix her negative reputation, which was garnered from her own remarks and actions during the campaign for the film. Interviews and press activities that were observed publicly in real time and unedited, which allowed for the internet to generate their own views and opinions." Friedman's statement to Variety about the complaint reads. This is an interesting statement because it is an attempt to shift the narrative, because the focus here really should be on, okay, did Baldoni and Heath actually act this way, or is Lively just saying that? That's the center focus. Like, what is true is the center focus. This statement reroutes the center focus to, hey, Blake Lively has a shit reputation and she's trying to fix it now. And it's like, okay, well, let's figure out what's true and what's not true instead of coming up with these conspiracy theories. And I say that as someone who's by no means actually a fan of Blake Lively, but it doesn't matter. In this case, it's not about being a fan or not. It's about just common, basic human decency. This, to me, seems like rerouting attention, which to me says, hey, maybe there's actually something there. If they're trying to make you look over there, it's so you're not looking over there where you actually should be looking. Does that make sense? Also, I think it's egregious to basically say that an actor in your movie has such a shit reputation that they have to invent that they were being treated inappropriately in order to fix their reputation. That's a heavy claim to make, and that is so incredibly insulting. These claims are completely false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious with an intent to publicly hurt and rehash a narrative in the media, Friedman continues. Wayfarer Studios made the decision to proactively hire a crisis manager prior to the marketing campaign of the film to work alongside the representatives with Jones Works employed by Stephanie Jones due to multiple demands and threats made by Miss Lively during production, which included her threatening to not show up to set, threatening to not promote the film, ultimately leading to its demise during release if her demands were not met. It was also discovered that Miss Lively enlisted her own representative, Leslie Sloan with Vision PR, who also represents Mr. Reynolds, to plant negative and completely fabricated and false stories in the media even prior to any marketing had commenced for the film, which was another reason why Wayfarer Studios made the decision to hire a crisis professional to commence internal scenario planning in the case they needed to address. There are so many claims being made against Lively here, and listen, Lively may have been a diva on set or saying she won't show up or whatever. These are all minor things in the scope of what we're talking about. Do I think you should be a diva on set? No. Okay. But here we're talking about like harassment, sexual harassment, and talking about sex and porn and showing her videos of giving birth. Like, we're talking about something completely different. So if she was a nightmare on set, that is a completely different story, and that is not particularly relevant in this case. Aside from that, to say that she planted and fabricated false stories with the media, that's heavy because the implication is also that she has no leg to stand on, so she has to make up this stupid shit to, again, make up for her shitty reputation, as they already stated. So that to me seems almost unbelievable. At the same time, I have no faith in people, but it just seems like a stupid thing to do overall. I do think people are evil and sneaky, but I'd like to think they're a little bit smarter than this. I don't know how this is going to pan out, but I have a feeling it's going to continue getting messier and messier until it just gets thrown out or forgotten because there's too much being put on the table and we don't know where the fuck to start. I've seen it happen before. The statement concludes, the representatives of Wayfair Studios still did nothing proactive nor retaliated and only responded to incoming media inquiries to ensure balanced and factual reporting and monitored social activity. What is pointedly missing from the cherry-picked correspondence is the evidence there were no proactive measures taken with media or otherwise, just internal scenario planning and private correspondence to strategize, which is standard operating procedure with public relations professionals. The complaint filed by Lively also includes text messages and emails from Baldoni and his publicity team that detail plans and a social media strategy to push back if the actress's issues on set with her director and co-star became public knowledge. Mr. Baldoni and his Wayfair associates embarked on a sophisticated press and digital plan in retaliation for Miss Lively exercising her legally protected right to speak up about their misconduct on set, with the additional objective of intimidating her and anyone else from revealing in public what actually occurred, the complaint reads. I think what makes this all very messy is the to and fro of accusations, so it's like, we don't even respond to one accusation, we just throw out another. So I'll say, hey, you did this, and instead of saying, like, no, I didn't do that, they'll be like, well, you did this, and so we're not getting anywhere. This is going to be a fucking shit show. It already is now, let alone when the ball really gets rolling, which I don't think it actually has. The spin operation included retaining subcontractors who weaponized a digital army around the country from New York to Los Angeles to create, seed, and promote content that appeared to be authentic on social media platforms and internet chat forums, the complaint alleges. Rumors of a set feud between Lively and Baldoni were rampant during the press tour for It Ends With Us last August, as the two never did any promotion for the movie together. The film ended up being a box office hit for Sony, earning $350 million at the worldwide box office. It Ends With Us is based on a best-selling novel by Colleen Hoover, blah blah, okay? The filing also includes text messages between members of Baldoni's PR team celebrating a social media response that appeared to side with the filmmaker and against Lively. In one exchange included in the complaint, Baldoni's publicist writes in an email to another member of his publicity team that the filmmaker doesn't realize how lucky he is right now and we need to press on him just how fucking lucky. If Baldoni's own PR team is telling him how lucky he is, I think Lively is telling the truth, at least about part of it. We don't know how much of it, if all of it, if just some of it, who knows? But if his own PR is telling him, hey, you basically dodged a bullet, then she's probably onto something there.
So, since I stopped filming, there have been updates. So, Justin Baldoni has been dropped by his talent agency, WME, in the wake of Blake Lively's sexual harassment lawsuit. And it says, the 40-year-old actor had been represented by WME, but company bosses had him depart, quote-unquote, at least in part, due to the sexual harassment lawsuit filed by his It Ends With Us co-star, Blake Lively, who is also represented by the firm, Deadline reports. The decision came hours after Blake submitted her 10-claim complaint with the California Civil Rights Department late on Friday. This is all stuff we know. So basically, he was dropped from the first minute that Blake Lively said anything, which I also think is interesting because, of course, I think firms are very quick to drop people these days. We've seen firms drop people even over false allegations, things like that, so it's not super surprising. Part of me does wonder if this is also a response because is this maybe not the first time this has happened? That's just a theory, that's just a thought that came to mind, but it's also like if you're going to drop someone so quickly, and this was relatively a box office hit as we've seen, it makes me think, okay, well, maybe there's more that we don't know, which wouldn't surprise me considering also what Blake Lively had said about other cast and crew members who had spoken up. So let's also keep that in mind.
Obviously, I don't know how much is true, how much is untrue, but the fact that they immediately basically went to attacking her, to me says something is amiss, and to me says that she's probably saying a lot of things that maybe a lot of the other cast or crew wanted to say, the other women that were mentioned at the beginning of the article. Either way, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. I have a feeling this is going to explode and become way bigger. Also because the thing is, once the ball gets rolling on things like this, I just wonder who else Baldoni worked with earlier, or Heath worked with earlier. I wonder if other people are going to come out of the woodwork, because sometimes it takes a big case like this, as we've seen before, for people to actually come forth and feel comfortable coming forth because they have a better chance at being believed. Does that make sense? Anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.